I'm Kathy Castle.
And Kathy and I are thrilled to be joined by someone all the way from Western Canada, and that's Carissa Hallen is joining us to talk about her self-care testimonial. So, Carissa, welcome to Eastern Shore Talk.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome.
It's fun to be here.
So, like I say, one of our favorite things here in Eastern Shore Talk is, as our regular listeners know, is what we call self-care testimonials. Self-care testimonials, which is basically what I also call struggle to strength. You know, we all go through stuff in life, and there are those folks who are vulnerable enough and brave enough to come on and talk about, they've gone through X, Y, and Z, and talk about not only how they navigated that, but how they've now transitioned into and using those stories to help serve others. And that's one of the main reasons why I wanted to have Carissa come on and kind of talk about her self care testimonial. So, Carissa, again, welcome. And first off, thanks for showing up. We've had some guests that haven't shown up here lately, so we appreciate it. Um, Thanks for joining us. And first off, why exactly did you want to go on Eastern Shore Talk podcast? Let's start there.
Really, I love what you guys are about. Sharing your stories of struggle, but also how you turn it into a strength. How do you build from there? Because that is something that I don't care where your background is, what gender you are, all of those things, everybody has something that they struggle with and they navigate in their lives. So it's that one factor among many that's unifying to us. So I really just appreciate it's a platform that's real and honest, and you get to have genuine conversations that might move the needle forward for somebody.
Very good.
So let's kind of back up with your story because, like I said, we all have a story. We all have, whether it's trauma at a young age, trauma during adulthood. We all have kind of things we've struggled with throughout our lives, and that can define us in many different ways in our life. So, reading your bio, I was very interested in some of the things that you've gone through and how you kind of navigated. So, if you don't mind, kind of go back in time and do a little self bio and kind of tell folks how you went from A now to kind of what you're doing to help serve other folks.
Absolutely. It's definitely a roller coaster. So I grew up in small town northern Alberta. It's cold. We're pretty hardy people because of it. I'm the middle of three girls. And when I went away from high school to college, I didn't know a whole lot about life, right? I was a very academic person, so I wasn't challenged that way. I was a competitive dancer, so there was a little bit of challenge that way. But when I moved away from home, is kind of the reality set in that I didn't grow up with emotional intelligence, and I didn't really grow up with a sense of myself. I had really chameleoned to the scenario that I grew up in. Um, my mom was a very strict mom, and she ruled the house with an iron fist. So if you did not fall in line, you became compliant in another way. So I really didn't know who I was. And being a competitive dancer, I kept myself in relatively good condition. But when I went to university, I wasn't dancing as much. I was in a relationship that I didn't realize wasn't that good for me. So there's a lot of things that had kind of come to a head. So I went from being 130 pounds to just about 200 pounds in about a year. And so for me, weight wasn't a struggle before that, but it was one of the first really big struggles that I had to navigate. And I did not like who I was. I had no idea really how I got there. It wasn't until I kind of just got really disgusted with myself and I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? And then I started putting together that it was the things that were triggering me emotionally, that's where I was turning to food. And by turning to food and not really understanding the overconsumption was creating that scenario for me, it led me down that path of being 60 pounds overweight and really not knowing how to navigate that. So it was facing the fact that I had accountability to this. Nobody else was putting the food in my mouth. Nobody else was, not teaching me about emotions. It was my job to figure that out. And as I went through that struggle, I was going through massage school. So I had found a little niche that I really loved. And I graduated from that. And I ended up by working at a clinic in Calgary, so Southern Alberta, that I loved. And the first thing that happened when I was there, though, was this random event that our clinic flooded. So we had 10 days off. And I decided to go to my grandparents' house in southern BC. And I had been trying for years to get this weight off, and nothing worked. All the healthy things, like trying to go to the gym, eating healthier, nothing worked. None of the diet pills, all of that. No matter what I restricted, no matter how I beat myself up, nothing changed. But during this time that I was away for holidays because the clinic flooded, I realized that I actually had lost 15 pounds. Not even trying. So I looked at him like, okay, what's different? I had tried all of these different ways, but I'm like, what's different? I was actually happy. I was in a job that I was loving. I was in a place that I was loving. And I was focused on being the best massage therapist that I could be, and really focused on how do I serve my clients? How do I help with the ailments that they're coming in with, giving them the best education, and really just finding that niche. I wasn't focused on how I was feeling in other areas based on my assumption of my mind. It was one of those just really wholeheartedly loving what I was doing. And so that created me to be able to lose 60 pounds in a year very sustainably, working with a trainer, going to the gym. But I wasn't avoiding my life anymore. I was stepping into it. I wasn't emotionally eating anymore because I really felt good in the person that I was becoming and the place that I was as this massage therapist and young lady. I was 22 at the time, finding my way in the world. And then I had the opportunity to take that and go overseas. And I traveled to Scotland and Australia as a massage therapist and really found more of my own. I was able to kind of take that and turn it into something that was just my own. When I came back to Canada, though, I still hadn't fully reckoned with myself that I was still running away a little bit. And even though I had gone and I had done this training and I was overseas, there was a component behind it where I was actually running because I didn't love the dynamics of my family. I didn't love that I kind of kept still people pleasing and chameleoning and allowing myself to be compromised because I just wanted to fit in. And so that came to a head when I ended up with a DUI because I had turned from food to drinking. In my mind, it was just socially drinking, but looking back on it, it's like, no, I was avoiding that part of my life with alcohol because I didn't start drinking until I was 23. It was the first time that I had ever been drunk, which was very strange being from a small town, but I had seen that example of it really not being a healthy way to deal with things. And so I was very thankful that nobody got hurt with my DUI. I just got pulled over, and I did go through the process where I lost my license for a year and a half. I had to have a blow box, and I had to sit in front of my professional ethics board and explain why I should still be allowed to be a licensed massage therapist and be working in Alberta. So it was really, I called it my universal wake up. It was me being on the wrong path and not being in of as much service as I could be because I wasn't really myself. And so shortly after that is when I got into my car accident, and I was mad because I was on my way to the mall to go Christmas shopping, and I got hit by a lady who had blown a stop sign, and that changed my world for pretty much from then on. It took 3.5 years for my brain injury to actually be properly diagnosed. I saw care right after the accident and saw many doctors. I talked to them like, something's different, something's wrong. I can't tell you what my name is at the end of the day, even though it feels like it's a Vegas banner up here. And it just really made me feel like I was going crazy. And it was an orthopedic surgeon that was a person who finally diagnosed me with a brain injury. And he's like, but what about your back pain? I'm like, I can live with that, but there's something wrong with my head. So he sat down and gave me a very basic concussion test, and I scored really high on it. He's like, you have post-concussive syndrome. And with that diagnosis, I'm like, I am not crazy. But now this means that everything about my life from before, I have to let go of because I was fighting to be the same person I was, and my brain no longer has that capacity to be that person. I have a temperament issue that I have to manage every day if I get overwhelmed. I have a different way that I have to approach the world because my short-term memory doesn't exist. I literally have to write everything down. So I appreciate all the notes and the messages people give me. But if I don't write it down, then it doesn't come to fruition when it's supposed to. Usually it's like a month later, I was supposed to have done something on, the 8th. And so I really had to sit down and grieve the life that I was before and figure out, okay, how do I move forward? Because I've never been the type of person to just sit there and be in the victimhood of things. It was just doesn't cross my mind. It's like, okay, this is where I am. What am I doing? Am I making myself better, or am I just going to be bitter? Right? And it never feels good to be in the bitter position. So it was always, how do I move forward with this? And being able to share this story with people, because I look perfectly fine. Right? I don't look like there's anything wrong. So, and that's the biggest misconception for people who have brain injuries and brain trauma, especially the minor side of things versus the ones where you physically can see that they have injuries, is that there is no grace. There is no, thinking that, oh, maybe we should just give them a little bit of patience today because it just looks like I'm just kind of being a jerk. Right? So it's just taking all of those things and being able to see the different chapters of my life is one of those things where I'm like, okay, how all of these things have been in my life to make me better and allow me to learn more about myself. Because if I'm only staying exactly the same and everything was going perfect, I really wouldn't learn what my capacity is because there hasn't been any pressure on me for me to actually be able to see, how do I do when things don't go my way? How do I do when life unexpectedly, catastrophically changes? And it is those points of pressure that have actually formed me into this resilient person today, and to be able to be fully accountable for everything that's going on in my life. Right? It's brought me being back in Grand Prairie after traveling and after my car accident, my DUIs. I had gone back to traveling for a year before the pandemic. And that brought me back to Grand Prairie after that as well. But it was being back at home is where I found my now husband. Right? All of those struggles that I had gone through and the self-development that I did along the way was actually training for what I ended up by having as my family now. Because when I met my husband, I didn't realize that he had lost his wife not that far before in the previous year, and then he had 2 young sons. So when I did find out, I'm like, oh man, that's heavy. And am I right? Am I the right person for this job? Right? Because I really didn't want to show up in those boys' lives and be like, just kidding, I can't do this. I have to go. I didn't want to add more to their lives. So being able to really just have that conversation with myself and see like, okay, is this something that you can actually come into and be a part of and add to it, and not just turn it into something where it's like, no, it's about you, my dad, or your dad and me now. No, it's a family of 5 because we still have space for mom to be able to be a part of life. And it's really the only way that we can move forward in a way that they will be honoring to the boys and let them have more normal lives. So it's just all of these things that we go through, we don't realize is actually bringing us to a better version to meet the things on our journey.
So, Carissa, I'm gonna throw a Jay Watson special at you. I'm known for asking 2 questions at once, so
Love it.
He is. Be careful.
So the first one is, you talked about coming to a point in your life, you put on a lot of weight, and you were realizing that alcohol wasn't the way. Was there something aside from the DUI that kind of was, whether it was another event or a person or something that just kind of hit you and said, this is not the way I want my life to go? Obviously, the DUI was probably the big deal, but was there something else that kind of along there was like another motivating factor in kind of pointing you in a better direction?
I definitely had moments where I had conversations with myself of like, do you really want to keep feeling like this? Like, you can't remember what happened last night. I don't want to have to rely on other people to tell me that, like what you did, because you cannot say, well, I didn't do that. If you don't remember what you did last night, you are at mercy of what people account of you. And just that feeling out of control was definitely something that I wasn't enjoying how I felt about it. I feel like it took the DUI for me to actually take that serious and to take that step, because it had gotten bad enough that it was when I was like, oh, this is like a fork in the road. This is not just not liking how I feel. This is a fork in the road. Like, this isn't going to be that point. Life is going to be bitter. It's going to be better. And if I carry on this way without changing it, it's going to create that bitter in my life.
And part two is once your brain trauma was diagnosed and you kind of had a physiological roadmap for that specific injury as far as rehab or whatever, what were and what are the things from a self-care standpoint that kind of helped you keep that positive mindset as far as, okay, I've got this road ahead of me, and here's what I've got to do, both physiologically and both from a mental health standpoint. Are there things that you did back then and that you do now? What are your self-care tools that you kind of lean on?
So my self-care tool that I really had to get used to was, where's my energy at? How much energy do I actually have today? Because what I noticed, especially with the brain injury, was that if I was overstimulated, so if I hadn't had enough rest, if I hadn't had enough proper food or space between clients and then visiting friends, then my brain would throw a tantrum. And then outwardly, I would be a jerk to people because I just didn't have any more capacity, because I had spent all the energy in my energy bank, and I was into already with it. So what I've had to learn is, okay, do I need some decompression time before I interact with people? I do it with my teenagers when they get home from school. I'm like, if I need a little bit more time, I come out to the office. And I'm like, okay, I need 20 minutes. Because then it's just grounding myself back down and like calming it down so that I can actually be present, because it's not their fault if I've had a busy, hectic day, maybe didn't have a snack when I should have. But it was really just looking at what are the factors that help me feel okay. And I was making sure my blood sugar wasn't too low, and really just looking at what's my energy. And when I would get to work in the morning, my music would be really high in my vehicle because I was excited for the day. But I would have to make sure that I would turn that down, because by the end of the day, even if it was a good kind of slower day, it was still more than I could handle at the end of the day. So really just getting honest with, where is my energy at today? And that every day it's going to be a little bit different. And then when it feels like it's at a place that this is kind of that fork in the road, what do I need to do right now to keep it from turning into something it doesn't need to be? So lots of times that's just taking 5 minutes. I do legs up the wall and just 5 deep breaths, because that legs up the wall just helps everything come back, relax your nervous system. 5 deep breaths just keeps you in your body, feel the tension leave. And then that's enough for me to be able to go on from there. And I like it because you can do it rain, shine, heat, whatever it might be. I can do that. And it's not something like, oh, well, it's minus 22 Fahrenheit out right now. I can't do that. Right.
If it's minus 22 Fahrenheit, we're all stuck over here in October. I'm sitting here listening, and I almost feel like your life is in two phases of it. I'm going to do a Jay Watson with a two-part here, but there was, I guess, your life before that car accident. And then there's your life after your car accident. But I can imagine that so many people can identify with, your life before the car accident and, struggling. I think so many young people struggle with who they are and what they're supposed to be, and life's so fast. And I feel like there's so much pressure of what you want to be when you grow up, like from middle school. And I always just worry so much about the pressure that society or we put on young people to figure out who they are. And, it seems with your case, then some coping mechanisms came into play that weren't healthy, but, how are you supposed to know, I can understand the food thing because a good dessert can make me feel a lot better for that moment. Not Jay, but me.
Yes.
It might be a female thing. I don't know. So I can understand those, and I'm sure a lot of people listening can understand those kind of coping mechanisms. And the next thing you know, you find yourself in a situation that you don't want to be in, and it's probably hard to talk about, and society's not always kind. And I'm sure you had a lot of grief and loss feelings, even about that period of your life prior to the accident. But what I've learned from so many friends that we've met on this podcast is the resiliency and the grit of people, and how you've described yourself. You've taken what has happened to you, and then you've become a warrior through it, and that's amazing. And then you're like, really? Now I have a car accident. You're probably like, really? What else you got for me, right? So then that brings you to, I'd never heard of that term. Did you call it post-concussion syndrome? Is that what you called it? I've never heard of it in my life. I'm going to have to go look it up. But I think what people can relate to is cognitive deficiencies of some sort. Rather, I don't think concussion is uncommon. I think there's a lot of cognitive deficiencies amongst people for whatever the reason is, stroke or just a very, different kind of things that happen to the brain, assaults on the brain. But what I'm curious about, I guess, is the whole memory piece. You're beautiful. You look perfect to me on the screen. And I'm sure if people that maybe don't understand what has happened to you would ask, or do you get this? Do you get somebody to say, I told you that? Like, you don't remember that? I'm just wondering how you deal. And you've explained some of your, it gets frustrating, and I get that you know how to give yourself some time to walk away and to regroup. But just on the day-to-day, if you can't help that short-term piece, what advice would you have, I guess, for people interacting with you or other people that have that same kind of cognitive deficit in that way?
So anybody who has this cognitive deficit knows what they need to do to navigate it, is they've come up with a system, because everybody's cognitive deficit is slightly different. So what works for you may not work for me. And what works for me may not work for you. Right. So it's like I went from having a photographic memory and remembering the details of every aspect of my life to I went to the grocery store and knew I had 6 things I needed to get, and I only got one because I couldn't remember the other ones for love nor money. I actually even moved to New Zealand without a toothbrush because it was the thing that I needed that I'm like, I have no idea, because I left my list at home, and good thing they sell toothbrushes over there.
Well, and I have to have this for a list myself.
So even for simple things, like if I have to take a medication on alternate days, I have to use alarms, because my brain's like, oh, but you did that. I'm like, yeah, okay, but that was last week. It wasn't this week. You're remembering it, but not correctly. Or the amount of times I've left the house and I'm like, is my curling iron on or is it off? And it's like, so I actually have to, right? And I actually have to okay, this is me walking my curling iron to my dresser. I'm putting it down. So 10 minutes from now when I'm driving down the road.
Maybe you need a morning checklist.
Yes,
I
have those things. Even for the boys, I'm like, you have a sticky note system, because it has to be something I physically touch and can look at. And then I move, because they're like, well, I told you I needed a toothbrush. I'm like, telling me something is like it never happened, because it gets filed away and I remember it 2 months later.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh yeah. I'm like, you still need a toothbrush, don't you? And the one guy's like, yeah, I was just wondering if you would ever do that. I'm like, we didn't write it down. So I have a system in place, because when you have injury, a brain injury, the whole family has a brain injury.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like I do my best to make it as simple as possible, so it's not like, oh man, like we all have to navigate this. But there are little quirks, and like if you don't write it down on a sticky note, you're not going to have it because I will not remember it there. And like I do that with stuff for myself. It's not just you guys. If I don't write down that I need to go buy deodorant for myself, I will forget. And then it'll be like, oh yeah, when I go to put it on tomorrow, I don't have it.
Yeah.
I wonder, what's fascinating is the, oh gosh, the movie with Will Smith where he played the doctor that,
Concussion.
the Concussion, yes.
Didn't see it.
Fantastic movie. And as you're talking, I was thinking, and I'm a very analytical thinker, so I'm a why person. I'm always wondering, and Kathy's a big neuroscience person, so I'm wondering, and maybe you have the answer to this. It just came to my weird analytical brain at the time. I wonder if, and it might be different for different people, if like the way you're describing it, it makes me wonder if losing short-term memory is a wiring thing, a wiring issue, or is it a healing issue where the brain's saying, okay, right now I'm hurt and I can only do certain things, so I'm going to eliminate short-term memory and hold on to the other things. I'm asking God because I'm fascinated by that kind of stuff.
I honestly think it's a mix of both because
Right.
it's like my symptoms are based on where my brain hit my skull during the accident, right? Because a concussion is a bruise of your brain. It's actually called a coup contre coup, right? And so it's just your brain, when you're alive, has a consistency of butter that's been on the counter on a warm day, right? So it does not take much for it to actually get a bruise, right? Because your skull is pretty thick. And so I know that there is a component of brain healing to it as well, because the less stressed I am, the less aggressive my symptoms, right? So it's like there's been times where life has been a lot more smooth, especially moving to the farm and living here, where I can go to the grocery store and I forgot my list. And if I stand and I think hard enough, I'm like, okay, today's been a chill day. I've had good nutrients. I've had good rest. And recall things. If it's our actual crazy day or crazy weeks, then it's like I forget more and the symptoms are higher. Like when I first met my husband and I was living in Grand Prairie, my symptoms were way more aggressive. As I've lived on the farm for the last 4 years and life has been challenging in a different way, but not as overstimulating every day, some of my symptoms have improved.
Wow.
Some of them have
Right?
have decreased in how bad they are, if that makes sense.
Well, if that isn't a testimony to how nutrition and lowering stress level helps everybody, but we don't listen to that, right?
No.
For the most part, but wow, that's very.
How often, Kathy, have we talked about on this podcast,
Mhm.
not specifically about the brain, but that anxiety and stress, we hold it in our bodies, just generally speaking. And Chris, as a masseuse, that's kind of why people come to you, because all that stress, they're holding it in their physical body. But now we're just taking that general physical body and we're directing it at the brain. The stresses and the anxieties are now up here, not just
I was
generally.
even wondering about the weight. You know, you were talking about when you changed environment and you were happier or whatever, and maybe there was just much less cortisol as well, you know?
Yeah, 100%. They all interconnect, right? Because you can't have tight muscles without your brain being involved. And your brain is never not producing a neurochemical of some sort, right? It is a function that happens whether we're in our parasympathetic or whether we're in our sympathetic. It just depends on, in your sympathetic, you're producing the stress hormones. In your parasympathetic, you're producing the relaxation hormones. So nothing happens in your body without a neurochemical response. So if there is tension, a lot of times it's coming from maybe something that you're thinking about, and then that creates the neurochemical to bring that movie to fruition. Whereas if you're relaxed, then that brain recognizes through impulses, through the body, that, okay, we're relaxed, we're breathing, things can kind of just chill down, then those neurochemicals start moving in the body. You can't have both at the same time. You can only have one or the other.
Explain, you know, we know, we hear it all the time. We talk about it a lot, about the breathing and how helpful that is. Explain what you're doing with the legs. I'm visualizing it and I think I know what it is. And I think my friend does it, but I'm going to make the assumption you lie on your back and you're literally putting your legs up against the wall. Or have I got this all wrong?
No, we've got it pretty close. So we'll explain it step by step so people who maybe don't have the visual can understand.
This would be a good hack.
Yeah,
right?
it's a yoga move. So the easiest way is have your shoulder against your wall. You want to have a wall that doesn't have things on it because otherwise you are going to kick it off and that creates stress. So you sit with your shoulder and your hip against the wall, and then you turn your back so that your butt and your legs are now going up the wall and your back is on the ground. So you're making back on the ground, legs up the wall. And you lay there, and if your flexibility is not that great, you're going to have your legs further away from the wall, but it's still going to be kind of in the same position because straight up the wall, if you have tight hamstrings, you're going to be saying ow. And you have your arms out wide. So it's a position of surrender in yoga. And it helps you to surrender to the ground. And if you're doing your breathing, you want your exhale to be longer than your inhale so that you are getting your nervous system to switch from stress to rest and digest. So a longer exhale signals that your body is safe.
I've been noticing that, maybe I knew how to do this all along and I just noticed it, but I feel like my exhale when I'm practicing breathing is longer than the inhale. And I was like, is that a new trick I just learned? I was just thinking that the other day. I got a new party trick. Like I can exhale longer than I inhale, but sounds like you're saying that's the way to do it. But
yeah, you can do both. If you wanted to inhale longer than your exhale, you have full control over that. Right?
Are you a person that believes, and I've heard different on this, that you should exhale through your mouth or your nose? Do you have an opinion about that?
Depends on which nervous system you're trying to insight. If you want just your relaxation nervous system, in and out of your nose only, right? Because if you're going in and out through your mouth, you have the possibility to hyperventilate, and that puts you into your stress. So sometimes people, they need to auditorily hear the sound come out. So then you breathe out of your mouth, right? But we're always inhaling through our nose and then out your mouth, right? If you're really struggling to try and get yourself to calm down, in and out of your nose only. Because it's really hard to hyperventilate through your nose, but it is super easy to hyperventilate through your mouth.
Good tip.
Right? So if you have nose congestion, it's going to be a lot harder to do any of this breathing. If you want to calm yourself down and you struggle to be like, well, if I'm doing it right or wrong, inhale for 4 counts, hold for 4 counts, exhale 4 counts.
Box breathing, yeah.
Box breathing.
Yep.
It's a simple one. Because then you're not like, well, did they say inhale or exhale was longer? It's like just 4. Just remember 4.
Yeah, that's what I usually end up doing.
Yeah. And the physiological sigh is another good one where you take 2 breaths in through your nose, like one normal one, and then a short one after, and then you exhale through your mouth. Right, you go. And you do that a couple of times, and that immediately kicks you into your rest and digest. And again, everything is based on your neurochemistry, right? You cannot be in stress and do that and stay in stress. It flips the switch. Our body is one or the other. It will not allow you to be in both. That's why you can easily go from being completely relaxed to like high alert.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody was banging at your door at midnight, you go from being completely chilled to like ready to go fisticuff. And that's because that's where our biology kicks in.
These are good tips.
So going back to when you decided to go the massage therapy path, what was the motivator for that?
So I've been a competitive dancer when I was 5 until I was 20. So I used massage and chiropractic therapy to help. I've also been rubbing people's shoulders since I was 5. There's stories of me rubbing my grandparents' shoulders because I enjoy helping people to relax. One of the things I love about massage therapy is you get an hour of somebody's time. They're always excited to come and see you. I had couples that would, rock, paper, scissors to see who could come first. And always seeing that person come back to themselves. Because a lot of times when we get tight and tense or we're dissociating from life or things like that, is you leave your body. So at the end of the massage, I love seeing the spark back in other people's eyes, because I'm like, okay, there you go. You're back in yourself, which means you can make change in life. You can enjoy your life because you're actually present in the moment. You're not numb one way or another. But it was just always this deep desire of, I love human puzzles. I'm very analytical like you, Jay, very nerdy. And I enjoyed dancing. I knew I wasn't going to do it professionally. Like, I'm good at it, but not that gifted. So it was something that I really enjoyed, human anatomy, all of that. So for me, it was just a natural choice. I did 2 years of psychology, and that didn't go very well. It was just not the right city, not the right place. There was a lot of resistance. So I'm like, okay, that's not the right thing. Because I'm a believer that if there's abundance of a resistance, you're going down the wrong path. So then when I applied for massage school, I got in 5 different places. So I actually got to choose where I wanted to go and when I wanted to start. So I'm like, okay, this is where I was drawn to. This is where I'm supposed to go, because there was no resistance whatsoever.
So I'm going to ask
Nice.
what your professional massage therapy thoughts on this one. So I go pretty regularly to my therapist
Okay.
once a month, pretty regularly once a month.
Yeah.
And without every single time, when it comes time to go from my back to my stomach, I fall asleep every time on my stomach when she's working on my feet. It's the same. It's the same exact time within that session every time. Every
Yeah.
time. What's that about?
Well, okay. Does she start the session kind of the same way every time? So you start face
No,
up?
when I'm on my back, she starts on my head and works her way down. When I flip over, she starts on my feet, and so in other words, she stays on my feet and just works her way back up. But
Right.
it's always when I flip over, and within the first minute or two on my feet, I'm out, like out.
Yeah. But you always start face down.
No, I always start face up.
You always start face up. Okay.
Yes.
So when, like, your body is so intelligent. So that's how long it takes for your nervous system to get chill with her. Right? Because when your body is ready to like go into that sleep, your nervous system has a trust with this person. Right? Sometimes it's because you want to catch up on the conversation and then you don't really let yourself go to sleep. If she didn't talk for the whole treatment, it would be a telling sign of when your nervous system actually chills. The other side of it is if it's always done in the same exact order, your body anticipates it. So it knows, okay, now this is when we can just chill.
It's like bedtime. It knows when bedtime is, basically, within the massage. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I'm the opposite. I also go to my massage therapist monthly, but I don't go to sleep at all, and I run my mouth the whole time. Imagine that, Jay.
I was going to say, Kathy, yeah, you're the opposite of me. Like, I don't. Then don't get me wrong. We do speak for the first few minutes. We catch up and that kind of thing because we become friends.
yes.
So, but it's almost like we know the dance. Like we know, okay, this first 5 minutes is catch up time, and after that we're both silent unless something comes up or
Yeah.
But and she's also learned that she knows within I may be out for like just a couple minutes, but I'll snore and wake myself up by snoring. I got I'm in the face pad and I've got my mouth open. I'm probably drooling and I snore. So that wakes me up and I always stay awake the rest of the time. So I get like a 2-minute hard nap every time.
Yes.
Funny.
And the first time I said, please don't be offended. She's like, no, it's actually the other way around. It's like, you're comfortable enough and, your body is, if you have any tension in your body, you're not going to fall asleep.
You're lucky I'm not your massage therapist. I'd probably pluck you like the old 7-Up game, Jay.
I wouldn't be able to sleep for weeks after the massage with you, Kathy, because
I know.
Yeah.
Wear you out.
Yeah.
Talk you out.
It really depends on the person, right? Like I've had people where they talk to make themselves feel comfortable because you also have to look at the other side of it. You're usually pretty undressed when you're on the table, even though everything's covered, right? I know you guys go to people who are very ethical people.
Mhm.
So everything is covered, but it's still that power dynamic. I am now naked on a table and this person is fully dressed and I am at their mercy, right? So sometimes it really depends on the personality of the person. Like Kathy, you probably have a bit of a guard and it takes you a bit to trust people. So then those are usually the ones that I experienced as my talkers, right?
I don't want to forget what's happening either.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't want that nice cranial sacral therapy or whatever to go to waste and not remember it. I want to know what's happening.
Exactly.
I'm nosy. I'm inquisitive.
Once Kathy learned that she could see colors doing all these things that her therapist does with her, she wants to be awake for all
I want to
that.
see the color. I want to show.
Exactly. You get the story of what's going on for your body. That's awesome.
Yeah, like I do. I really concentrate and try to pay attention to what's happening and what's changing. And
I'm cheeky. I'll be like, hey, I felt that shift. I'm like, the right side's not doing the thing you want it to do. And my lady's like, that's right. I'm like, it's being slow.
I know you guys are like eye of newt, wing of bat. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know how you know what you know.
I see one color about halfway through, and that's black because I'm out.
Because you're ruling on the stool.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
To the point of drooling that I actually have to look and then like use a face pillow to wipe before I sit down to work on her neck because I have accidentally sat in a pile of drool a few times.
I've actually almost fallen asleep. Like she'll set, I'll go into the room and she'll give me a few minutes to get undressed to get on the table.
Yeah.
And the table's heated. And I've actually almost fell asleep because the table felt so good heated. I'm just like, oh, I could like, but I don't. But and then I know it's not going to take me long. I'm going to be out. As soon as I flip over, I'm out.
I want that table warm, but as soon as I hit it, they got to cut it. I'm like, I don't want that heat on through the massage. No,
but you also don't want to be cold when you've just gotten to get on a table. You don't want to be the one heating it up.
Right.
Yeah.
Massage is so incredible. I feel like I couldn't function without it. I've been going once a month for probably since 2020. Yeah. And I don't think I could survive without it, honestly.
Honestly, it's a good thing to do. And it's like I always tell my people, like, okay, I get to support you in every aspect for the next hour. This is your time to just chill, be unhinged, whatever it is you need to do. Like I've been in situations where I had a client, I have goosebumps right now, early in my career, and she got a call as she walked in for her massage that she had stage 4 breast cancer. And it was a genetic kind, which meant her daughter and her granddaughters were guaranteed to get it. And so I'm like, okay. I'm like, what do you want to do right now? And she's like, I want my massage. I'm like, cool. This is where you get to not be okay. Because you don't have to be okay for me. You have a whole family that you get to go tell this to. I'm like, I get to be your place and hold you up for the next hour. So I'm like, whatever you need to do is yours to do. Mm-hmm. Right. And so it's just that space to just be and that time to, whatever needs to happen.
Wow.
There's just something about it. Look, I've only been to 2 different massage therapists in my life. And my first one I ever went to, I had someone bought me a gift certificate for Christmas or something, or for a birthday or whatever. And I went a couple times, and it had been several years since I had gone again and started going with the one I go to now. Yeah. But there's something about, and Kathy's massage therapist has actually been on our podcast a couple times, and is a friend of the podcast. And there's something about the way and energy about every massage therapist that I've ever met. And even the other girls that are therapists that work in the office that I go to, who I don't get massages by, but are there, just interacting with them in the waiting room or whatever. There's just something very like, I can understand the whole, making you feel at ease and just having a very, comforting nature. I can get that. That's kind of goes hand in hand, but there's also something very, you want to trust them. Yeah, and I don't really know these other girls other than brief conversations in the waiting room, but there's just an energy and an aura about, it's just a light and a positivity and a, I don't know. It's just a wonderful thing. I've not met a cranky, massage therapist ever. And I've talked to, at this point, many for different reasons, and they just have a good way about them. So
I would add
kudos to the, the general personality traits of massage therapists out there. It's just pretty awesome.
Yeah. I would add on to that. I would add that we have a different depth of us. Right? Because it's like we study the body from a physiological standpoint, and we also learn all of the conditions that might show up with on a health side. So we hold that duality, optimal health, and then an understanding of what disease is. And then we meet you as a person. So it's like, okay, what do we have today? And there is no separating the mechanics from the emotional or the mental. Anybody that tries to separate that is not going to have a long career in massage, because your emotional and mental state has a big impact on how your body is doing. And it's important to understand both sides, right? So it's like you have this depth that we naturally learn about through our education, but then it gets
empathy.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. Kathy and I are both very lucky. We go to different therapists, but we're both lucky in that we found someone that suits us. And just, I mean, I met mine through work. We did some flooring work for her house, and then end up redoing all the flooring in her office a couple times actually, and I just became legit friends before I even went to her to have a massage. And she said, "Hey, come, I'll do a 30-minute session for free, just to let because it had been probably 10 or 15 years since I'd had one before then. Because
She could tell you were uptight.
Well, back then, Kathy, I was the former version more so. I was very antisocial, introverted, whatever individualistic kind of tendencies that in a negative way. I was that. So I certainly wasn't going to lay on a table and let some stranger do whatever they were going to do, as well intentioned as they might have been. But because I had met her and built a relationship through work, it just, her nature was just, she had that nature to her that I was talking about. And we legit catch up when I go in every month, because we don't.
For 5 whole minutes.
That's just, we learned to do that so that I get the most out of the massage. But yes, Kathy and I are both fortunate, and we found somebody that, and there's many in our area. And we live in a small town of just under 20,000 people, but there's several, and you could go online here locally and get raving reviews out of all of them. And there's tons of them around here.
I'll tell you what, though, I used to hold so much tension in my shoulders, and my husband, we've been married, since 92. I don't know how many years. I can't remember. I'm not a math person. He would kill me right now. Anyway, he must be so happy, because I'd be like, oh my gosh, my shoulders are killing me. You got to get this knot out or whatever. And I don't ask him to do that anymore, because I guess the regular, massages, it helps me relax more, and I'm not holding balls of stress in my shoulders like I did for so many years.
Your craniosacral that you're doing too, so you're in tuned with your sacral system.
I love that stuff.
Yeah.
I love the craniosacral, and I know not all do both in the same session, maybe, but it works for me.
Yeah.
So before we get out of here, we're going to switch gears a little bit and go to our music and movie trivia segment.
Love it.
So, Carissa, did you come up with a question?
I did.
Okay.
Oh.
Because of our topics, I looked up, I'm like, Robin Williams is one of my favorite all-time actors. Always bringing hilarity, laughter, improvise. So good.
It's good.
What was his biggest passion and collection that he had?
Collection?
Yeah. It was both a passion and a collection. He did auction it off at one point.
She might have us on this one, Jay.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even remember him ever talking about it, or that's so interesting. I know Jay Leno was a big car guy, collected tons of cars.
I have no idea.
I'm just trying to guess what I would think Robin Williams might collect. I'm going to say comic books.
No.
What's your guess, Kath?
Oh, man. But she said passion and collection.
It was his form of self-care, too. So very grand.
What would be something that's your passion that you collect? Oh my
He was
goodness.
the very first comic that I ever heard talk about how his struggle with mental health is what kind of caused him to be a comedian. Like he could put on
Well,
this facade and you know,
would it have been artwork?
No.
No.
what was it?
Bicycles.
Bicycles. Would never
Oh.
guess that.
Cycling was what helped him ground and helped him with his mental health.
Wow.
80 plus bicycles,
Wow.
and he did sell them off for charity.
So he probably had a time with a big front wheel and a little back wheel, like way back in the day.
He probably even had unicycles too.
Mm.
That's pretty cool. I've never heard of anybody collecting bicycles before. That's interesting. I mean, he was super intelligent, like super intelligent, just very
Mhm.
thought provoking.
Yeah.
Our friend Chris Moore was the producer on Good Will Hunting. We graduated high school with him, and of course, Robin won an Academy Award for supporting actor for that movie. We'll have to say something to Chris about that. We learned something about Robin Williams the other day. That'd be pretty cool.
Oh,
Yeah. He also started as a mime before
Yes.
he
Yeah.
I knew that.
He did some of that on Mork and Mindy, didn't he?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was the very first role I remember him. He was Mork on there, and then he was Mork on Happy Days.
Oh yeah.
Remember, because him and Fonzie got into a duel because he was going to take Fonzie back to Ork.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very cool. So, Kathy, what's your question?
All right. So mine is around the SAG Awards. I've been
Not
borrowing.
Not called the SAG Awards anymore.
I know. What is the act?
Well,
Well,
the actors.
yeah, but still the screen isn't
Yeah.
it?
Presented by SAG after. Yes.
Anyway, who has had the most? My question is, who has had the most wins of that award? I would have never guessed it. Just by the way, it's a female. I'll give you that.
It's probably a TV one and not a movie one. That's probably why you
Correct.
didn't think of it.
Correct.
Because if you could be on a TV show for 10 or 12 seasons and have a lot
And
of
I'll
opportunities
tell you,
to win.
I would never have guessed her ever, but I remember her back from being a fan of a TV show in the 90s.
Is it a soap opera?
Not a soap opera.
Okay.
Because Susan Lucci would have been a good one because she.
I remember from a nighttime weekly show.
Nighttime weekly show in the 90s. Makes me think of Friends.
My friends.
Hmm.
I'm going to say it's one of the women from
You
Golden
guessed
Girls.
it. Golden Girls. She's a little younger than that.
Betty White.
Today, she's actually. You're a little older than me. How old are we?
Well, I'm not quite a year older than you.
She's about our age. I'm telling you, you'll never get this. Tell me when you give.
Is it the mom from Everyone Loves Raymond?
Oh, that's good. No, that's good.
Patricia Heaton.
I love when people say "mom." By the way, just saying. No, it's Juliana Margulies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what I mean. I didn't even look at what she did after that.
I wouldn't have guessed her. No.
Me neither. She's won 4 times, and then the male that has won the most is Daniel Day-Lewis with 3.
Yeah.
Well, remember
Go ahead.
the SAG Awards are only like 25 years old. They're not very old.
Then there's 2 men that are famous actors that have been nominated the most, and they both have been nominated 6 times.
Huh.
Jack Nicholson.
No, probably more our age again, or a little younger.
George Clooney.
No,
Brad Pitt.
close. In the blonde-haired category as one.
Patrick Dempsey.
Oh, that would be good. I would nominate him. So Leo DiCaprio, and Denzel Washington. Both of those men have been nominated 6 times.
Okay.
There you go. I tricked everybody today.
Yes, you did.
So
I wouldn't
mine
have guessed
is
any of that.
mine is a music question,
Okay.
and it is, and I did not know the answer to this. I try to come up with a question that I don't know the answer to myself.
Love it.
So
You know I'm not gonna know if you don't know.
the question is, what album has produced the most #1 hits?
What album has produced the most #1 hits?
And I'll give you a hint. My first guess was Thriller because that's the album that sold the most copies ever, but it's not that.
And it's not a greatest hits album of anybody's?
It's not neither one. There's two that are tied.
All right, I got it. I
They're
got it.
not a greatest hits, neither one. Okay.
I should let our guest go first if you have a guess.
Go ahead, Carissa.
I'm like, I originally was going to sing Thriller, but I'm like, okay, #1 hits through the whole album.
And the it's 5. So in other words, these two are tied at the most. Have 5 #1 songs off the same album.
I don't know.
I'm
Kath?
going to say Rumors by Fleetwood Mac.
That's a good one.
No, but that would have been a really good one.
Yeah.
No,
I get credit for it would have been a really good one. Dylan, say the question. The album that has the most.
What album in history, Dylan, has had the most #1 hits off of it?
And it's not
It's not Rumors.
that's what I said. Yeah.
No.
It's not Rumors.
Mm-hmm. I'm getting afraid.
Although Rumors is one of the top selling
Right,
albums.
this is my
of all
19-year-old.
My oldest is named Dylan too.
Oh yeah? You gotta have something.
It's not Rumors.
What generation is it from?
Yeah, I was gonna ask what decade.
One is fairly new within the last 10 years, and the other one's back in the probably late 80s, early 90s. There are two that are tied with the most.
Oh, I'm like the late 80s, early 90s makes me think of like Black Sabbath region or Lady Gaga, the newer one.
It's most like #1s on
Off
one
of the
album.
album.
#1 hits off the same album.
And you said one's is one of them Katy Perry?
And the top, they both had 5 #1 hits off of the album.
Is one of them Katy Perry?
Yes.
I don't know
Oh,
the album.
see
but
that?
Teenage Dreams.
Yeah.
Good for
That's
you.
that's the more recent one.
Come on, you probably can get the other
80s?
one.
I mean,
Knowing you.
87 was what the year the other one came out.
80s.
Oh, that sounds like Jackson 5.
Not Dave Matthews. Tom Petty? No,
Ooh,
it's
that's
not
a good
Tom
guess.
Petty.
Carissa, you're in the right family.
What'd she say?
I said Jackson 5. So
Oh. It's not one of Michael's?
like Top Gun came out in 86.
It is one of
Thriller?
Michael's.
One of
It's not
Michael's.
Thriller.
Not Thriller.
Oh.
Oh.
Is it the one with the? Is there a tiger on the cover?
I don't remember what the cover looks like, to be honest with you.
The one that has like
I know what you're talking about.
"Rock with Me." Oh.
No, that was his first album, Off the Wall.
Oh,
How many albums does this guy have? Good lord!
A lot.
Actually, probably not. He died fairly early.
I was gonna say I only know those two.
Which
I
one?
don't know.
Think of Weird Al Yankovic.
Just beat it. Beat it.
Beat It.
Right? That's not the name of the
Beat
album.
It was on Thriller.
Yeah,
Darn it.
but that was yeah. I
There's
don't
another
know.
song that Weird Al did that's on this album. He did a parody on this from this album.
Oh my gosh. What else do we have?
Is it the? I don't know.
As soon as I say it, you're gonna kick
You're gonna be
yourself.
mad. Not Human Nature. No, that's the name of a song. Not an album, right?
Human Nature was on Thriller.
PYT. That's a thing. It's a song. That's
Thriller.
not an album.
That's the song from Thriller. You're naming the
That's
Thriller.
right, Thriller.
The question was name all of Thriller. You got a lot of them.
Yeah. I disagree.
Well, okay.
What is it?
Bad.
Oh yeah.
Oh jeez, yeah.
Hmm.
All right, I got one at least, so I'm good.
Yeah,
See you
thanks
guys.
for pulling
Thank
that
you for
out.
Hey, thanks, Till.
Thanks for playing.
Yeah.
He got the one I wouldn't have thought. I would have never guessed Katy Perry.
Oh, Jay, I forgot to tell you, or Dylan, Jay would like you to come back on at one time. We got to get you back in. Anyway.
one-off game, yeah.
Yeah, not a camera.
Self-care songs. Our favorite, best all-time self-care songs. is
Oh
gonna be-
yeah, Dylan, did you hear? Our favorite self-care songs. You
So
need to
yeah,
come
Chris,
up
we're
with
gonna
that.
do
No,
not
I'm
only
not-
like
you
do
come
they
up
in the song do they talk about something self-care related, but just like the vibe of the song.
Yeah,
So how much 80s music do you know?
got it.
A fair amount.
You remember a song by Christopher Cross called Sailing?
Dill,
don't know
Dill
if
knows
that
that.
Okay.
He thinks that's a oh hot tub.
Anyway, that song, it just last week, it like,
I heard it again today.
did you? Isn't that like so? That's
Yacht
just,
rock. That's
I
like
mean, it
yacht rock.
talks about sailing as a form of self care. Literally, that is what the song is. But then, just like the vibe and the instrumentals, it's just very like you're like, it just calms you down. I don't know. So we're gonna do a whole episode just about songs that are like very self care centric. We're
Love
gonna
it.
do that in a couple weeks, so that'd be pretty cool. All right, so the next thing is real quick before we get out here, Chris, what have you been watching lately that you've enjoyed?
Oh, I'm a
It can
big
be anything. It can be things you watch with your kids, anything.
yeah, I'm a big documentaries fan.
Mhm.
So the last one was which one was it? Ozzy Osbourne. Ozzy
Oh,
Osbourne.
yeah. Yep.
That was really good. Like we don't watch a whole lot of TV here. We're picky with the movies. Wintertime is usually our quiet season because we're farmers as well.
Mm.
So we were watching Ozzy Osbourne's documentary. That was really good. And then a punk band in Canada called Simple Plan just had their documentary too.
Hmm.
So those ones really good.
I'll have to
What is
check
it?
it
What
out.
is it? You know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking of Simple
Simple
Minds,
Minds. I knew it.
the Breakfast Club song,
Yeah. Fair.
which is like it's like our teenage theme song, basically for our age.
Might be a self-care song for me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anything that makes you want to dance is a self-care song.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah.
What about you, Kath? Anything new you watching?
Listen, I finished Landman and I am obsessed with it. Did you watch Landman? Oh my gosh. Jay hasn't watched it. He doesn't know if he would like it, but I'm telling you, I wish you would watch it, Jay, because then we could have a long conversation. But those characters, I fall in love with characters, but
Yeah.
and then when it ends, I feel like I lose my best friend. It was the whole thing. But now I got my parents on it. My parents are addicted in watching it now. But the end of season 2, which is we're not going to see it again until November, season 3. I was like, these characters, they're just a mixed bag of all kinds of stuff going on with each of them, but they're great together. And I love what they did with those relationships. There's some hard relationships that worked its way out in that show. And I love shows with strong relationships.
Yeah. My husband works in the oil field. So
He does?
he does. And we're farmers, right? We're an organic farm on the side. So we love Landman too. And it's one of those.
Who's your favorite character on there?
I honestly think in the second season, the grandpa, Sam Elliott.
No, that was so good. I didn't see how that was going to come together. And I'm like, I love that relationship. That was probably my favorite relationship. But you know who I really love in that show is Dale. For some reason, he makes me laugh.
He's hilarious.
He just shows up at dinner and like he's one of the kids and he's not. And he's his good Billy Bob Thornton's sidekick in the show. But gosh, he's funny.
He's like Kramer on Seinfeld.
He's just
Just shows up.
they kind of all live together in some mixed up kind of way, but
House.
and let me tell you, it's just a good show.
Yeah.
Good show. Jay, I think you would like it.
Well, here's what's funny. I think you'd be proud of me. Remember how I said like Landman, Yellowstone, none of those were like my cup of tea. Here's what I did start watching the other night. And it was Sunday night, and I'm like, let me give this a shot. And it's actually it's an offshoot of Yellowstone called Marshals, where the son is now a marshal.
Wait, is that on Paramount as well?
It's on
Paramount?
CBS. It's on regular, yeah, it'll be on Paramount, but it's on regular TV.
So you know why I want to watch it because Riley Green's in it.
But it was the first episode, and I'm like, wait a minute, I like this because it's very.
I'm gonna watch that.
It's kind of
Did you watch it?
more.
I'm gonna.
It's more cops and FBI centric than it is ranch
Okay,
stuff.
so you don't have to watch the other shows to watch Marshals.
No, you can watch whatever you want. It's on
Okay.
like we don't have typical TV, so I watch it on Paramount, and it comes out every Monday as a new episode. So,
But I like the show that comes on after it called Trackers. So
Okay.
I'm like, well, let me watch the show before it and see, and then I'll just watch Trackers after.
So how many of the Marshals have been out? They
This-
just started. right?
I think that was the first episode, I believe, and that's the one I saw Sunday. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to have to start. And I had watched bits and pieces of Yellowstone, so I recognized the son, Kevin Costner's son, who was kind of like, he was kind of on the outskirts of the family. He didn't really want to have anything to do with the shady stuff, former Marine, all that kind of stuff. His wife, who's Native American, is killed somehow. I forget whether it was a shady, I don't know, but she passes away. And he's got a son. It's a little bit further along now. The son's grown up a little bit, so he's still dealing with that. And he's separated himself from Kevin Costner. And also, I knew enough from the bits and pieces that I watched to know he was kind of the outcast of that family. I'm trying to remember the name of the family, but anyway, I liked it. I really liked it.
I think this Taylor Sheridan is quite the thing. I mean, he knows how to use music. He knows how to develop these characters. I think this guy's something. Everybody says you can't go wrong with what he's done watching any of his shows.
He's done a broad range of shows. Like there's probably 20 different ones. If you even just go on Paramount and go Taylor Sheridan, the number of subsets that come out is insane. Like Mobland is one of them. And so it's like across all genres, you'll find something that Taylor Sheridan did that's of interest.
He's an interesting guy.
I watched the finale and the reunion of Traitors, which was so good. And then the finale and reunion on Love Is Blind is tomorrow night. And I'm looking forward to that. So yeah,
Jay watches those love shows.
I do. Those kind of reality. Traitors isn't a love show though at all.
That's true.
It's like live action Clue, the game Clue. That's basically what it is. Kathy, I think you'd like it if you watched one of the versions that had celebrities, because the original British version just had regular folks came on and did it. Like you just signed up for the show. You weren't nobody knew who you were. Well, the U.S. version says we're going to pick the people that you know. Donna Kelsey, Travis Kelsey's mom was on this season, among other people. But yeah, they're both those are pretty good. They're about to end. I'm trying to think of something that's Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. The next season is about to come out on Hulu.
Were you the one who said you'd watch Lincoln Lawyers, Jay?
I do. That's really good. And Night Agent.
Yeah,
that's the one I told you. Both of those, I think you and your boys would like. Either one of those.
I had too much to watch. There's too much.
Don't forget All Her Fault. You've watched His and Hers. All Her Fault. I'm telling you.
I need to watch that. You know what else I want to watch? The one with is it Love Story, which is I guess would you call that a documentary about JFK?
Oh yeah.
And Carolyn.
Mm-hmm.
I heard that was good.
Yeah. That whole thing is.
I was always interested.
It's so much depth and so much behind all that.
Did you see that?
No, I haven't.
Any of you?
I mean, you think of him as the little boy who was saluting the casket at the. I mean, you don't, because he grew up so glamorous. He was like not only was he like
she's Calvin Klein's daughter, right? I thought.
Carolyn Bessette. I don't know. She may have been. I don't remember how or if she was related to anybody like that.
I thought she was his daughter.
But they had a very tumultuous relationship. They were kind of off and on. He was like he was kind of a playboy. He he dated a lot of women and, did the whole thing and was the bachelor, lived the bachelor lifestyle for a long time. And, went to college, dropped out of college, but there's, I'm sure there's your father's the president. He passes away when you're a little kid. I'm sure it can have some long lasting effects on you that are understandable for sure. So I'm sure it's an interesting story. There's been a couple of those documentaries about him, not so much about their relationship, about him for sure.
Yeah.
But
I might have made that up. I don't know what her connection was with Calvin Klein. Maybe she worked for him. That wasn't her father.
She might have. Well, he was a Calvin Klein. He, meaning JFK Jr., was a Calvin Klein underwear model.
He was.
Yeah, Maybe
the way
that's the
my
connection.
husband-
You're just thinking of underwear and JFK, and you just thinking Calvin Klein.
You worked for Calvin Klein. That's a way to have a husband.
That might have been how they met.
She worked from the 1980 till 1996. Huh. All right. Well, I was spreading rumors. That is not her father. That's who she worked for.
Yeah, we don't want to be like the TMZ of
Yeah.
podcast. Come on here.
Right? And the old National Enquirers, that's still out. Oh my gosh.
Anyway, Carissa, thank you so much for coming on and talking about your story and bringing in a little bit of a different angle. We've not talked to anyone who has been through experiences with brain trauma or anything like that. So it was really nice to have you open up and talk about your stuff like that. We appreciate it.
Very educational. Thank
So,
you.
guys, thanks again for joining Easter Shore Talk. You join us every Tuesday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Take care. We'll catch you next time. Have a good weekend, guys. Take care.